Well, hello again, everyone. I'm back. I'm Sandy Rosenthal, host of Beat the Big Guys, and I'm so excited about the guest that we have with us today. Her name is Ms. Sharon Lavigne. How are you, Ms. Lavigne?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to tell our listeners a little bit about you, and then we're going to give the mic back to you because we can't wait to hear about what you have to offer for our listeners today. Ms. Sharon Lavigne is a native of St. James, Louisiana, a small country town along the Mississippi River. For 38 years, Sharon was a special ed teacher in the public school system. In 2018, Sharon founded Rise St. James, a faith-based grassroots nonprofit organization fighting for clean air and water and against dirty industries in the parish, such as big chemical and big oil. Ms. Lavigne hosted the first meeting in her home with about 10 people. And that same year, Ms. Lavigne retired to dedicate herself full-time to the fight. For her efforts, Ms. Lavigne was awarded the prestigious Goldman Environmental Prize for her environmental activism in June of 2021. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. That's remarkable. And it's a testament to the good work that you've been doing and a testament to the time that people have invested in Rise St. James. So that's just wonderful. So how did you get to this point where you got this award in your hand? I mean, tell us what's been going on for the past 4 or 5 years.
Well, in 2018, our governor, John Bell Edward, announced that a $9.4 billion industry was coming into St. James Parish, right next to me, 2 miles away from my home. I don't have industry 2 miles from my home. I have them like 4 or 5 miles from my home. And I just wanted to cry when I found out what kind of industry it was and how close it would be to a school and to a church and to residents. And I felt like the people in St. James wasn't even informed. We heard about it on the TV, on national news, that our governor was welcoming this plant and that they were celebrating the announcement at one of the restaurants in St. James. And while I was in my classroom, my daughter alerted me that the governor approved this. And so when I went home that evening, I turned my TV on. I couldn't wait to see it. And I saw them hugging each other and all. And it just did something to me because we already have 12 in a 10-mile radius in the 5th district. We have 9 in the 4th district. These 2 districts are predominantly Black and poor people. And I felt like we can't take anymore because people are sick and people are dying, mostly with cancer. And why would they want to add another one to us? Because we won't speak up. We won't say anything. People in St. James, they just let whatever comes. And our elected officials, we voted them in office to protect us. They took an oath to protect us. And they all are for industry. And so that it did something to me. I just couldn't take it. So, and I know people around me were dying. My neighbors on East Side died with cancer. I have 2 brothers with cancer. My sister-in-law died with cancer. So many other people died with cancer. So many women have breast cancer. And my 2 brothers have cancer. So, and some of them have asthma. And it's just like we are nothing. Like they just come here and dump their dirt on us like we are not people, like we are animals. So first of all, I went to God and I prayed. And I asked God what I should do. And that's when he told me to fight. I was still teaching school when I started this. But teaching school and doing this work, it was too much for me. So I had to retire. I didn't want to retire because I loved what I was doing. So I went on and I retired in October of 2019. But prior to all of that, there was another industry trying to come in on the fourth district. It was called Wanwang from China. We did marches, we did protests, we did town hall meetings, we wrote letters. Wanwang pulled out, but for other reasons also, but with the help of us too. So they pulled out, and that was a victory. That was a big victory. And then after Wanwang pulled out, our parish council approved this $9.4 billion industry to come in without even consulting the people in the parish. And it was too much for us. So we formed RISE, and we had our first march on November 3rd of 2019. No, it was 2018, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then from there, we talked to other organizations, especially the organization in St. John the Baptist Parish. We talked with them, and then we started to meet other organizations in New Orleans and surrounding areas. And we formed a coalition. It was called Coalition Against Debt Alley. And then in May of 2019, we had a march for 5 days from Reserve, Louisiana to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to speak with the governor, which he hadn't spoken with us about it. And then in October of 2019, we had another march, a 10-day march from New Orleans to Baton Rouge. The governor still wouldn't come out to speak with us. We wrote letters to the governor. We tried to meet with him. I spoke to him on the phone the other day, and he said, I asked him, would he stop Formosa from coming into St. James? And he said he approved this project, but if he can get more data, he would look at it. That's what he said. So we got more data, and we just sent it to him a few days ago, telling him about the health risks if Formosa Plastic would come in here. If Formosa Plastic comes into St. James, it will double the emissions throughout the parish. It will triple the emissions in the 5th district where I live. And we won't be able to breathe the air because the air is already polluted to the max almost. And to bring more in here, we will not be able to breathe. We already can't drink the water, and we can't plant a garden. So they're going to take our lives even faster. So all we ask is to live. We want to live, and we want to live a healthy, normal life. We want to go back to planting a garden again, eating vegetables that comes from our garden. And we want the people to know that we are not against jobs in industry, but we want clean, green jobs that's not going to pollute the people, and we could live. So doing this work, it was a whole different type of work that I was used to doing. I have learned so much from doing this, and I've done research. I've met so many people that offer to help us. And it's just that you have to care about the people who live around you. You have to care about your community, because if you don't, this won't mean anything to you. So I devote my life to working with this organization that I founded. And I found some people that say they are with you and they're not. And when I do the work, I don't do it without God. I have to put God in everything that I do, because this is a big fight. This is a David and Goliath fight. And speaking to God, David is going to win. Goliath is already about to fall. A few more shoves and Goliath will be down. So some people would look at Rise St. James as though we didn't want them with jobs, but that is not so. All we want to do is live a healthy, normal life. And we don't want to be bought out anymore, because a lot of people were bought out. A lot of the white residents were bought out. And as far as I know, not any of the Black residents were bought out. So it's just like they left us here knowing that that industry was coming years prior to it coming. So they had heads up. They sold our high school, they sold our post office, they sold our sugar mill, and just like a skeleton town almost, but it's mostly with industry. Just like I said, we have 12. We have a little area called Burdenland. That's the worst area in St. James Parish. People live in the middle of two industries, one on each side. These people are being polluted 24/7. If you don't believe me, you can come to St. James, get a flare camera and put it up against the tanks, the storage tanks, and you can see the emissions that's coming out. And it comes out at a rapid pace. These people are in that neighborhood breathing that pollution. And one of our leaders in Rise St. James, she passed away. She lived in Burton Lane. One of our other members in Burton Lane, he died with respiratory problems. He died one morning in his sleep. And other residents are dying too. And we asked them to stop so much emissions. They might, when EPA would come and say they didn't smell anything or didn't see anything, they come after the fact. But they have to stay here for a while and see it and breathe it for themselves. Coming 2 weeks after I call, that's not accurate. You have to sit here and be here. And if you sit here for 2 hours, you will leave with some type of ache, stomach ache, headache, or something. And I've been told when they cross the Sunshine Bridge coming to the west side, they could smell it when you're on top of the Sunshine Bridge. They could smell the odor. And we had an ammonia. We had ammonia spill or leak 2 Saturdays ago. I was in Texas at a funeral, and I got a phone call saying they have a bad ammonia leak. So they wanted the number from me to call EPA. So I gave them the number, and they called. And they said the police officers came out there. The smell was so bad, they couldn't stay out there. So it's awful. It's awful. We living in a sewage, we living in a sacrifice zone. Like they want us to give up our lives so they can make a profit. They make profit off of us, but we get the sickness and we get the deaths.
Do you feel
that is not right?
Ms. Lavigne, do you feel that the governor is truly going to at least try to be as good as his word, to take another look at that data, and to take another look at that plant that he's approved? How do you feel about that?
He asked for more data, so we gave it to him. So we're hoping he look at it, at least look at it.
And you mentioned something called a sacrificial zone. What is that exactly?
I meant to say a sacrifice zone.
Sacrifice zone.
Like we ought to sacrifice for the industry. Okay. We sacrifice in our lives. They want us to sacrifice our lives so they can make the profit.
I think I've heard of that before. I've heard that term used in Michigan, an area where they have paper factories and pulp factories, and they choose an area, a small town, and a throwaway town in their minds, and they call it a sacrifice zone. They actually have that term within the industry, among the dirty industry, as I call it. That's just horrendous. It's horrendous. And so it sounds like when you heard about this 4 years ago, it was a done deal. Like you read about it in the paper, you heard about it in the news. It's going where you live, 2 miles from where you live, and you heard about it again after it's a done deal. Was that the straw that broke the camel's back for you? I mean, what was it that made you go, that's it, gloves off, I'm going to fight?
Well, when I was in an organization called HELP, Humanitarian Enterprise of Loving People, that's an organization in St. James in the 5th District. I didn't even know there was such an organization until 2015. So when I found out about this organization, they asked me if I wanted to join. And I said, sure. So I joined. And every month we had a meeting. And I sat in that meeting for 2.5 years and listened to the people in there say, we don't fight industry. It's nothing you could do. And there was an industry
because it's hopeless, or because we need industry, or both?
Because they said the public officials will approve it.
Gotcha.
Say no matter what you try,
no matter
to
what
do,
you do,
they're gonna approve it. And I said, I told my family and my friends, I said, this is not above us. We can fight this. And I said, if I have to get out there by myself, I'm gonna fight this. And I asked the people in the organization to let's fight Formosa.
I love it. If I have to do it myself, I'm going to do it. I love it.
Right. Oh,
and
yes.
and the beautiful thing, Ms. Lavigne and our listeners, is courage creates more courage. Your courage provides courage for other people. It's like it catches. It's like a virus. It catches.
Yes. Yes.
So good for you. I love it. I love it. And I appreciate you sharing that. So when Juan pulled out, that was a significant victory.
Yes, it was.
And so how did you, and after you opened up the champagne or celebrated however you would celebrate, and what did you do with that victory?
I said, let's go after Formosa. That gave us more power to fight even more, because we got that one down. You find the dirty spots of these industries, all the things that they do wrong, and where they come from and how they polluted other places and all. But we get our data, we do our research. And we also have attorneys that's helping us also with the legal aspects of all of this. And so that's the big help right there. We always find the legal side of things. And then and what encouraged me more, when the people at the Help Association told me it was a done deal and they don't fight industry, because you can't fight it, because the governor approved it. The planning commissioner is going to approve it. Your parish council member is going to approve it. And I said, what kind of people is this? I said, if we don't fight, they're going to just give us some more industry in here and polluting us and killing us. So
absolutely,
that gave me more courage to want to fight also.
And you're absolutely correct, Ms. Lavigne. It's if you don't fight this battle, there's going to be another battle, and it's just people. I mean, it's the governor is just one person. You can't think of it in terms of people. It isn't about John Bell Edwards, may be a very nice man, but it's not about him.
That's right.
It's about the philosophy and about your community and your love for the community. And if you keep that in mind, a lot of people get cold feet because they don't want to hurt this person's feelings or hurt that person's feeling. It's not about the people. And also you mentioned, jobs, you may have been accused. I would bet money, and I don't gamble, but I would bet money on this, that you've been accused in the past 5 years of doing something that stops people from having jobs.
Yes, I've been told that.
Of course you have, because that's the standard line. They all use it.
They use it. That's right.
The big guys are all playing out of the same playbook. So when you got that one success, I love what you said. You said, well, we're going to move on to the next. And I bet you it didn't look so hard moving on to the second one, now that you've got one under your belt.
And now there's another one. For Formosa, then another one. It's called South Louisiana Methanol. We have to fight that one also. And it's coming right in the middle of a neighborhood.
Well, I'm going to side with you. And I think if they've got you to fight, I'm on your side.
Thank you.
And based on everything I've heard, it sounds like you really know what you're doing. And it's amazing how much you can learn in 4 short years.
And the thing about it, I didn't know what I was doing. That's the main thing.
I didn't
know. I learned.
And I
went on from there. People told me to look at this movie about this lady and that lady. I hadn't even heard of these people. And I said, okay, but I didn't have time to stop. I was steady going and steady doing the works. And then now I sat down and I watched the movie of whatever they told me to watch, and I saw. And they said, I reminded them of her, of this person.
Mhm.
And I started thinking that woman was strong on that movie, you know, and she didn't stop. But I had never seen these movies prior to this movement. I have never ever seen someone fighting against industry or fighting against whatever they fought against.
And this is
I had
important.
no
Here, you go
example.
ahead and finish. So
I really had no example of no
right,
one fighting this. So I did it the way I thought.
you did it the way you thought it needed to be done, which was the right way. And that's something else, that you don't have to have special training, special expertise. Ms. Lavigne didn't have to be a chemist to know that smelled bad. She didn't need to be an attorney to know something's wrong here. You can see with your own eyes and hear with your own ears and use
Right.
your own noggin to figure this out. And if you think something wrong, something is wrong. And so don't let that stop you. And because too many people get cold feet. In fact, the first 10 episodes of season 1 is addressing things that stop people in their tracks.
Yes.
Yes, and one of them is feeling like you need special training. You'd never even heard of these other activists, and you're being compared to them. That's so
right.
interesting. I have a name for people like you, Ms. Lavigne. It's called a resilience leader. People who learn on the job, who learn how to be
on the job training
activists on the job.
Yes.
I'm so sad, but we're about run out of time. But is there anything that you feel that you want to share, that you really feel you have to say to empower and encourage people out there who are trying to beat the big guys in their own neighborhood?
I would like to go to other communities and help them and guide them in what little bit knowledge I know. I would like to share it with them and speak with them and tell them to stand up. If you believe in something you think is right, speak up. I don't ever tell people to speak up for something that's wrong. I always try to do the right thing, and you will come out on top. That's just the way I feel. If you do it right and don't sway, God is going to be in there to help you, and you will be successful. That's just the way I feel. And I'm not trying to do anybody any harm. I'm not trying to cut anybody's throat or take money off the table, food off the table and money out of their pockets. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to save our lives over here.
Well, with that said, Ms. Lavigne,
live.
if somebody wants your help, how would you like them to get in touch with you?
Contact risestjames@gmail.com, or they can email me at my own email address, SharonCLavigne@gmail.com.
And how do you spell Lavigne?
Lavigne.
A beautiful French name. So thank you again, Ms. Sharon Lavigne, for joining me. And I hope all of you enjoyed this episode. We're going to start again. So I have a producer who will know to rewind. So thank you again, Sharon Lavigne, for joining me. And I hope all of you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on all of your favorite platforms. And remember, no matter who you are, you too can beat the big guys.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, stay with me.
Okay.